So yesterday, a friend reached out to me and they said, Blake, are you still in real estate? I said, of course. I first thought in my head, yes, I'm in real estate. I need to post more on social media. Then she said, okay, cool. I'm renting an apartment. I said, great. Let me give you as much information as I can. So today I wanted to make this video for you guys to help you, give you some information about leasing apartments, just a general overview, but I'm gonna get into a lot of detail in this video and just give you some really good information. So let's get into it. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to determine your budget. And so you're probably going to be thinking, well, how do I know if I even qualify to rent an apartment, something like that? So general rule of thumb, they're going to look at two things. Well, more than that, but they're going to look at your income and your credit. Those are going to be the main things to qualify you. This is just a general like golden rule. If you have this, you can pretty much rent just about anything. It's a 620 credit score and your income is 3 times the monthly rent. They're also going to check your criminal history, so hopefully you're not a felon, and they're going to check some other things like that. And your previous rental history as well. So if you have, bad experiences from a previous landlord, then you got to get that kind of taken care of before you're ready to start looking. So determine your budget, get everything set, get your finances together. Another thing they're going to look at too is, so they charge a security deposit and first month's rent. So let's say you qualify for that, but you're going to have to put down a decent chunk of change that first month to get yourself settled. So you're going to just think in your head, okay, I want to have 1 month's rent saved, and I also want to have an extra. So for a security deposit, they're allowed to charge you 1.5 times whatever the rent. So whatever the rent is, 1.5 times the rent, and you're also going to want to have like an extra like $500 for some miscellaneous fees. Like they could have application fees, like $50 application fee, $250 cleaning fee, or a pet fee, things like that. So you want to have that just like saved and ready to go. And if not too, if you have like some areas where you're like, okay, I don't really have that saved, or let's say like I just kind of started working on my credit, so my credit's not really too great right now, you can always have you can ask your parents to co-sign for you, and most likely, especially if you're living with them, they're probably gonna be willing to help you out because they want to get you out of their house, right? So you can ask them to co-sign for you, and that'll make up for like any difficulties that you have with your credit or your income. That'll make up for it. As long as you're making your payments, it shouldn't be an issue at all. So there's that. I just wanted to get that known. So that's like the qualifications and that kind of thing. So, and that touches on your budget as well. So the next thing is looking for apartments and things that you want to look for. And so there's different various sources. Most likely you guys are going to be looking online. You can always call the apartments and the property managers and schedule tours. Some things you want to ask about when you're scheduling the tour is maybe the amenities, things they have to offer. Also, you want to ask them about like what's included in the rent. Some of them do where it's a gross lease or a net lease. Mostly it's going to be probably a net lease, which is where you pay the rental fees, the monthly rental, and you also pay your own separate utility bill, water, electricity, that kind of thing. That's most likely what it's going to be. But some of them offer a gross lease, which is where everything's all wrapped into just one monthly payment. And I've seen where they include everything like water, electricity, even internet and cable, which is really cool. So just ask them about that and see kind of what's included. Talk about the gym. Some of them have gyms and pools. So just kind of ask them about that and just, try and feel around. Let's say you did a little bit of due diligence. You found your apartment that you like. You ask them about it. You're like, okay, cool. This is sweet. Now you want to talk about the lease, and just make sure you read the lease. Really, really make sure you're clear with your situation and what you expect from the lease. You want to make sure verify the lease amount, what the lease terms are, and the length of time of the lease. So is it a 6-month lease? Is it a 12-month lease? These are things that you want to know. As well, you want to ask them about, it's basically the policies. So they could have pet policies or smoking policies. You want to ask them about that and just see what the policy is on that. I've seen a lot of them are just, you can go out on the balcony if you guys do smoke, or if you guys have animals. If not, you can just disregard that. But if you do, some of them do not allow any smoking at all, and you have to actually leave the entire complex before smoking at all. Or if you do, your lease is revoked, and they'll put that in the lease as well. So that's why it's very important to read your lease agreement, but also these are some good questions to ask the property managers as well. Another thing you want to think about is renter's insurance. Now, ask them if renter's insurance is required. I always recommend that you do get renter's insurance. Let's say, God forbid, there's maybe a fire or something in the building, and let's say the smoke detectors go off and they ruin this really nice brand new couch that you just bought and it's totally ruined, or somebody ends up stealing your belongings. Renter's insurance, again, there's an investigation, but it's like $15-20 a month. They'll investigate it, and then you end up getting your money back and you get compensated for those stolen items. But yeah, it's like $15-20 a month. It takes 10 minutes to do online, and it's something that's pretty cool, pretty sweet, and it's always good to have. It's just something to think about. So not all of the apartment complexes will require it. It's definitely something that you want to ask about as well. You want to kind of clarify the move-in date, the length of the lease, and the security deposit, the rent amount, things like that. And so once you read it over, you find something you like, you sign it, then you're gonna have to end up paying your security deposit, your first month's rent. And then before you move in, it's also very important too that guys, I'm giving you all the freaking tips, the secrets in this video. Make sure to drop a like. So it's also very important before you actually move in, like once you sign the lease, to go in on your phone and just take pictures of everything, because this will help protect you and make it more likely for you to get your security deposit back. Because if they know the condition of the apartment before you took occupancy, they will be more likely to refund you, and it's more insurance. Like, let's say something, you come in and there's like a light's broken or something's wrong with it, take a picture of all that stuff and just document it, save it as an album in your photos so you have that ready to go. And so you sign the lease, take pictures of everything, moving in. Now moving in, make sure you put the utilities in your name. You want to do that 2 to 3 days before you take occupancy. So let's say like 2 days before you move in, because that's how long it takes for the utility companies to transfer ownership. So, it'd be kind of bad if you get there and, you find out your water's not working, or you can't even turn on the lights because the electricity is not on. So just something to keep in mind. And yeah, so I think we covered a lot of things in the video. So just make sure you guys really review the lease is the most important thing, I would say, and do your due diligence, ask around. And also, guys, another thing to consider that I forgot to mention was roommates. So if you guys are having roommates, they're going to look at the same things for them as well, their income, their credits. They'll actually look at your combined income. So both of your incomes combined to be 3 times the monthly rent as a rule of thumb. But of course, I've seen them, that's just a safe rule of thumb. I've seen some apartments go as low as 2.5 times or even 2 times the rent. So it's just a different minimum requirement, but always for a rule of thumb, 3 times you're safe. There's that. So if you have roommates, you guys can always sign a different lease as well. You don't have to sign the same lease or be on the same one. Like, so legally you're protected, she's protected, that kind of thing. So you guys can have your own separate lease agreements and your own separate lease amounts as well for the rent. So something to think about as well. And yeah, make sure you guys choose your roommates carefully, guys. Like that, this is something important. Make sure they're clean, make sure they take care of themselves, make sure they're not just inviting a bunch of random people over at your house, and they're, so it's just something to think about. But yeah, renting with roommates should not be an issue at all. It happens all the time, super common, and it's pretty easy just to have them do separate leases. So that way you guys are, you're protected as well as they're protected, so you can kind of keep that separate. I'm very excited for you guys. Just moving out on your own is awesome, and it's something that really helps grow you as a person, as an individual, and it's an exciting adventure. So Really happy for you guys, and I hope this was of value to you, and we'll see you in the next one.